This is Ram, and on behalf of the Open SSF, I am very happy to welcome you to today's live stream. I'll begin with my customary. We have a very special guest today, but this time also, it's true. Before we get into that, thank you so much for joining us, first of all, both if you're live and if you're watching this maybe 7 days or 10 days from now and things like that. I just have a few quick announcements. First of all, we've had phenomenal viewership this year for all of our live streams, and I'm very thankful and very grateful to you all for that. So don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all of that fun stuff on socials, on this YouTube channel, on LinkedIn, wherever you're watching this. And then OpenSSF is going to be at KubeCon EU Amsterdam this year. So we're looking forward to a great event. There's Open Source Security Con, which is a co-located event that's happening on the Monday. There's going to be an OpenSSF booth there as well, and like OpenSSF is going to kind of help run most of Security Con. And then there's booth number 787, pretty easy to remember. So booth number 787 is the OpenSSF booth on the KubeCon sponsor solution showcase whatsoever. So I really hope that some of you can make it to KubeCon in Amsterdam this year, and I hope to catch you in person. That being said, today we have a very special guest with us. Now, Abhishek, who's our guest, heads Sonatype's India office. Now, for those who may not be aware, like the first ever mentions of the software supply chain and all of this open source security and all of that to me happened through a lot of Sonatype projects. And long ago, I was a simple Java developer typing away my classes and functions and variables, and I did all of it on Java. And to me, Sonatype and Nexus and Maven back then were really important pieces of like the whole puzzle in getting a lot of the stuff I wrote into production. And so I've always associated very closely a lot of the work that I do with the software supply chain and supply chain security in general with a lot of the Sonatype stuff. And so having Abhishek here as a guest really closes the loop for me in many ways. So please joining me in welcoming Abhishek Chauhan to the stream. Welcome, Abhishek. It's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Ram. The honor is all mine. I have been following the work that you and the OpenSSF community in India has been doing, and it's really great to be part of this.
Likewise. So why don't I let you introduce yourself and then we'll take it from there.
Sounds good to me. Hi, all. Abhishek this side. I manage Sonatype India. I portray the dual role of being the site lead for India and the senior director of engineering, running few engineering functions and products out of India completely for Sonatype as an organization. My background is full stack engineering. I started off almost 2 decades back with the very basics of writing code in Fortran and COBOL. From there, moved on to the world of PHP, ASP, then moved into the Microsoft tech stack, and then, like every most of the other people, jumped on the cloud bandwagon. So I am cloud certified on both AWS and Azure side of the world. And from there, unfortunately, life took a little bit of a turn. And even though I tried sticking to engineering as much as possible, some of the management responsibilities do play an important part as my role over here. Uh, at the core of it, I'm someone who believes that technology is a means to an end. So whatever tech is out there is something I'm always curious about. I try to understand it, learn it, do a little bit day-to-day stuff in it. At the same point of time, I'm not very particular about any tech stack. And for me, the whole concept of open source is very dear to me. At the end of the day, people don't realize that doesn't matter the company, doesn't matter the software. whatever is being built in today's world, at a bare minimum, 60 to 70% is made up of open source software. All the intellectual software, all the enterprise softwares out there are, are based on the basis of open source technology. It could be anything from as simple as a Log4j to a Spring Boot framework, which is driving most of the software development lifecycle over there. And at the same point of time, we as people who help run manage this, it is very important for us to understand the concept around supply chain security of open source software. And that's a little bit about me and what I'm curious about. Over to you, Ram. Ram, I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
Oh no, I was saying sorry. Just even in the age of AI, getting rid of this mute button is still beyond me. I was just saying that it feels nice not being the oldest person in the room and having somebody else recognize like Fortran and COBOL and like the programming classics from back in the day. But it's nice, Abhishek, that you've had like a good spectrum of being a developer, not caring that much about security, I guess. And then now you're on the flip side of managing a whole raft of security projects, and you're balancing engineering responsibilities and product responsibilities and other things. And so makes me curious what the transition is like. What are developers facing as problems, in your opinion, firsthand, in being able to infuse security in what they do?
You mentioned a very good thing initially while talking that initially as a developer not caring about or not even being aware about security is what the right terminology I would use, to now being on this side of the world where I am responsible for supply chain security. And in all fairness, that is a right way of portraying it, that when I, at least back in the day, started the career, the whole concept around supply chain security, software security was still very niche. It was in the baby stages of what it is today over there. So all of us used to write code, all of us used to create softwares, but the concept around securing the software, having good coding practices over there was very niche. It was still developing. The OWAP, the top 10 OWAPs concept, the concepts around what are the right ways of securing keys, access keys, secrets, all was still coming into existence, was not really a very well thought of at that point of time. But over the years, people have realized that security is the basis of everything that we do over here. We are no longer in the world where we are sitting in a silos in a corner and doing something which doesn't impact anybody else. Now the world is so interconnected. Every engineer is so interconnected across the globe, and with that aspect coming into picture, security has taken on a different shape and form altogether, and all of us realize it now. It becomes a key cornerstone of how we create softwares, how we develop technology. Talking about today's world, one of the most interesting thing is the way of AI, how AI has been shaping up the conversation. Doesn't matter whom you talk to. It could be a colleague, it could be a friend, or in all fairness, it could be a family member, a senior family member. Everyone talks about AI. It has taken over our lives in all the realms, both personal, professional communications over it. Being an engineer, I realize that there are many aspects of utilizing AI and how it impacts us, at the same point of time, how it empowers us. On the empowering side, a lot of people are right now trying out AI coding assistants with all the new age vibe coding that is in fashion right now. One thing which people don't realize is that all the vibe coding is really good, and AI does a. I have nothing against AI. I am very pro AI, But the same point of time, people need to realize that AI itself is in the starting phases of the journey of what it can be and what tremendous potential it has. It's still in the starting journeys. So the concept of security around AI is still a little, I would say, in the baby stages and taking steps over there. We all have been in place where AI has hallucinated our answer for us. At the same point of time, even the best models out there, doesn't matter who is providing the best models, all the best models, latest models out there are always T minus 3 or T minus 6 months at a bare minimum. The contextual memory that they have, the RAG model, whatever database, vector database they are based on, is always having a at least a 3 to 4 month back history for them. And in the world of security, 3 to 4 months is a whole generation, because the world of security changes so fast, and there are new threats and new malwares and threats coming up every day. We all have been through multiple supply chain attacks, from Shah Hulud to Log4j back in the day to React to Shell recently. And as that, we all need to be aware that whatever we are doing at the end of the day, whether it's vibe coding or using AI coding assistant, we need to make sure that whatever code is being developed, is being written, is secure at the end of the day. And we as humans, we as engineers are responsible for it.
Yeah, I think the responsibility cycle is still something that a lot of engineering teams are still figuring out about, where you draw the line between what you contribute and what you write versus what you're actually liable for and things like that. So I just want to draw a few parallels here. So back in the day with like Maven and all of those things, Sonatype played a very central role in how a lot of distributed code components came together. Do you envision Sonatype to sort of follow the same vision and path to this, which is now a much more distributed, much more rich, much more varied ecosystem of software projects, plus amplified heavily by AI and through AI? And do you imagine like, or let me step back and ask you, what do you imagine your place to be in this world in the coming months and years, whatever?
See, from a software supply chain perspective, Sonatype always has been at the center of it. Like you mentioned back in the day, from Maven Central existence, where managing the open source Java packages, helping community globally understand those packages are secure, that they are downloading, using, to the world of vulnerability management, vulnerability assessment, malware detection. Sonatype has always been at the center of all of this. And even in the this new era of AI, we are still at the center of it. We recently have launched a new product called Sonatype Guide. We all understand that a lot more code is going to be written by AI. That's the honest answer. Doesn't matter what industry someone is in. AI is going to help write a lot more code. And with AI writing a lot more code, we need to be in a place where we are able to manage the open source vulnerabilities, open source threats a lot better. And that is where Sonatype Guide as a product comes into picture. We What that product does is, and it doesn't matter what IDE you are using. You could be on something like a IntelliJ, to something like a AI-driven IDE like a Kiro or Cursor or one of those ones, Codex over there. It doesn't matter. We have integrations through MCPs, through APIs to all of those products and all of those IDs. So we believe in the concept of, with the AI, the security needs to shift left in the supply chain. So why even think of security from a build and deployment perspective? Why not secure the software from a open source threat and vulnerabilities at the time of software getting developed itself. So what Guide does is Sonatype Guide as a product helps the engineer, whoever is the one writing the code using AI to develop the code, to make sure that whatever open source components they are using are secure and free of any vulnerabilities.
So a lot of people ask me, because I'm involved in a lot of open source work, how do you see AI impacting open source? Now, I don't see that as a very isolated problem. I think AI proliferation is affecting code both within orgs and in open source orgs pretty much the same way. So I guess it's a very relevant part what Guide is trying to play here overall in terms of what it can do for contributions, whether they're within an organization, inner sourced or truly open source, whatever.
I will take a step back and talk about a different perspective to this problem. I was talking to a ex-colleague of mine a couple of days back, not that far off, and he's a very active contributor in the open source world and has few projects that have close to 1 million download a week, so decent enough over there. And he was telling me that Abhishek, in the last 1 month, my life has become so messy. And I was like, why has it become messy? Like, I can understand AI doing a lot more stuff and things like that, but how come messy? And he said, Abhishek, there are people out there who don't even look at what the AI is doing and are creating PRs right, left in all the open source project. They are trying to overwhelm the open source ecosystem by using all of these coding assistants and vibe coding AI technology and creating PRs. The problem is most of them are trying to do the right thing from a functionality and the issue perspective, but very rarely they think of the contributions they are trying to do in the open source projects from a security perspective. And that is why we have to be so much thorough in our reviews of every PR that gets created in our projects. We have to spend so much more time going over it, making sure everything is good, because now it's no longer about human writing it and evaluating it. People are just using AI to write. They have a use case they're trying to figure out. They just create a PR into the open source projects over there. And then I started thinking about what he told me, and it kind of resonated with me. Like you said, Ram, it's not just a open source thing. It's doesn't matter whether it's a enterprise software internally that we are creating or a open source software. This is going to be a problem. Like, I am already seeing PRs both in the open source community and in within Sonatype from an enterprise software perspective. PRs which are like 1,000 lines, 2,000 line, 3,000 line of code changes. People are trying to wrap up what would have been like a epic and many stories under it in a single code file or in a single code change PR over there. And that takes so much more time to review through it, understand through it, and to be making sure that it's not just about the business functionality that you are solving, but also about the security of the code that the AI is writing. Because let us be honest, like I said earlier, all of us have been in place where we have seen the AI hallucinate, not just making up basic stuff, but creating entire libraries which don't really exist.
Yeah, scary at times to hear some of these stories. But I guess, as a community that backs poor technology choices and then, makes it better over time, I think we're in this phase of rediscovery and things like that. That, we should just keep pushing along, and hopefully things get better and get better soon. And, the quality of all of these things just continue to improve. I'm going to bring in an audience question now. And this is from Deepak. Hi, Deepak. Thanks for watching. Thanks for asking a question. So, Deepak asks, with AI coding assistance gaining traction, can you give us real world examples where Sonatype's products or projects, I guess, have blocked certain attacks and shown some evidence of functional work in the field, I guess. So it's more specific to, I guess, Sonatype projects, but like um, without revealing too much in terms of product and things like that. Any information you can give is much appreciated, Abhishek.
Sure. So, Deepak, thank you for asking this question. I will not be able to go into too many specifics because of customer security concerns, but I will give you a generic real world example which happened recently. So there was a NPM supply chain attack which happened, like there have been many which have happened in the past 3 months, from Shah Hulud, which happened late last year, to the one recently that happened just a couple of weeks back over there. The NPM supply chain attacks have definitely increased a lot. And most of the clients are trying to make sure that the security software that they have is able to protect against them, not in a reactive way, but in a proactive way. Think of it like blocking at the source and not even letting it enter the ecosystem and quarantining it. So once it enters the system, definitely you quarantine it, but customers are looking for active threat intelligence to block those threats even before they try entering the system over here. And Sonatype definitely has products around that particular piece. The product I'm talking about is firewall. So we have something called Sonatype Firewall, which basically sits on top of your artifact manager, repository manager, and is a AI intelligent DevSecOps platform, which basically helps you block threats in the real world even before they come into your artifact repository manager and into your ecosystem. It stops them from entering your ecosystem at the network layer itself. And we have few clients who were under attack because of the NPM supply chain that happened a month back, and they really valued the power and the security that firewall brought to them, and was able to manage it without their security teams even actively involved in that incident over there.
Yeah, I think that's good information. And so, is there, in your opinion, Abhishek, a move back to basics for people? Because large parts of the developer ecosystem did not care that much about security before a lot of these AI things took over. Um, I know large parts of the ecosystem are not prompting AI assistants to say, "Hey, build me, X functionality, and make sure that it's secure," because it's just a simple prompt. But people are not necessarily doing it. And I had the same comments when a lot of times I used to say everybody does like a Docker build this container, but nobody does like a, for example, Trivi scan this container, which takes about 30 seconds more, or just one additional command in your GitHub Actions or whatever, right? So people who were fairly experienced developers themselves did not necessarily get that much into the security world because it slightly conflicted with their notion of move fast and break things, and DevOps is all about speed and agile is all about velocity and just do more as a developer. And so a lot of it was cultural, right? And so is there a move back to basics right now where people need to be more aware and more telling of, let's do security this way or that way, what have you? So do you see a lot of that happening in the world in terms of a small shift towards more secure software in an AI first world?
Let me start off this by saying that Yes, it is a cultural thing, but I honestly believe security is everyone's responsibility. If we are going to rely just on the InfoSec and the DevOps teams to help us secure, we are opening ourselves to a world of pain. As simple as that. But now coming to the question. So my perspective is very simple. Engineering is not the ability to just write code. Engineering is the ability to solve a problem and solve a problem in the right way. So, the basis of engineering, which were security, scalability, maintenance, performance, are still very relevant and very important in today's world. Actually, I would say they are much more important in today's world. Like you said, Ram, are most of the engineers, developers, they used to be under the gun to develop more, produce more, write more code because of the whole agile way of working. They had to deliver a certain amount of story points, certain amount of functionalities over there. And that is where a lot of their bandwidth used to go into writing code. But as we move ahead in this AI journey, the concept of writing code and the amount of time that used to get spent on writing boilerplate code is going to change dramatically. Now, the concept of an engineer would be going back to the basics of engineering, which is you you don't need to write boilerplate code. You don't need to worry about creating a class and writing methods over there because AI would help you do that. But at the same point of time, you having the ability to review and understand what AI is writing is going to become much, much more critical overall because you are the SME now from a security standpoint of view. You are the person who understands the business functionality and the user base of your application a lot better than what AI will do initially. So you have to be the person who makes the judgment and makes the inference of what is the right security practice, what is the right performance criteria, what is the right long-term maintainable architecture for your application. You will have to be the one making those decisions. AI will definitely help you make those decisions and help you evaluate choice and at the same point of time write code also. But you having the understanding of those principles will become a basis of what engineer is going to be called in the future.
Right. So, do you think things have to change at like a prompt level or at a model level, or where do you think we're the best of in terms of introducing change? Obviously, people have to change, but like I don't see a lot of people saying, "Hey, build me this," but make sure you're not using these vulnerable npm libraries, or don't do npm at all because I don't like them, stuff like that. So there's not a lot of people who are cautioning their llms to generate code, or rather their whole coding assistants to stay away from certain security things, etc. So do we get models to do these instead? Do we get the coding assistants to do them? Do we educate the engineers to issue prompts where you include all of this information? So is it like a prompt engineering solution, or do we introduce certain abstractions between prompts and layers, whatever? So there's so many places where I can imagine we can make things slightly more secure. But in your opinion, I'd love to know where we have like the best shot of really making this better for the future.
There are two things that, and I'm going to talk about me and us over here, Sonatype, what we are doing. There are two things that we believe are the starting point of this. I had initially talked about a product called Guide. So one of the things that Guide does is it basically makes sure that whatever prompt you are giving to your AI coding assistants and the NPM open source libraries, not just NPM, any open source libraries that it is using for writing that piece of code. Those open source libraries are free of any known vulnerability. So those kind of product, a guide product, which comes and sits at the layer before between your AI generated code and your build process, is going to become a very crucial factor, where a software product would be making sure that all of the code and the open source libraries that AI is using for generating code are free of known vulnerabilities. But at the same point of time, like you mentioned, Ram, there have to be another evaluation, something we are actively doing over here at Sonatype. When see we will have to give engineers, developers a framework that they will have to follow in terms of the right set of practices to do when it comes to having AI generate a code, prompt engineering, all of that. One of the things that I have been doing over here is we right now are doing a lot of multi-agent orchestration. And as part of my software development lifecycle, I have I have taken a different approach to it, AI powered software development lifecycle. So in my AI powered software development lifecycle, I have added AI, both not just from a development perspective, but from a testing, from a security, and from a threat analysis perspective as part of my SDLC. So I have active AI agents in my multi-agent orchestration who are having the personas of these players, like a security researcher, like a AppSec engineer. I have all of these personas which are part of my multi-agent orchestration, and whatever code is being written over here, it passes through these personas, and these personas evaluate that code to be able to make sure that the outcome from that code is secure over here. So as we are still in the baby steps of our AI journey. As we start going ahead, a lot of such good practices will become a norm across the industry, and our frameworks, Sonatype's framework, will help engineers make sure that whatever code they are writing day to day, it passes through the AI personas of all of these security researchers, threat analysis, AppSec engineers, and it is secure by the time it is deployed into production.
Fascinating. So that's like having your own tiny security team at your beck and call. That's doing some of the work that's not going to be on a developer's plate. And I mean, I'm all for like DevOps and DevSecOps and all of that, but I felt like the whole shift left thing was a little bit of extra work being put on the developer, that I guess automation should have solved somehow, which I guess it always was doing. And anyhow, I am a little opinionated about that. And then I'm very glad that you brought out how they can be supplemental and things. And the other thing I wanted to ask is, because you mentioned you have certain agents and the agents are doing some of the work and you're orchestrating at the agent level and things like that. Has there been a massive shift for you as an organization, as an engineer, and as an engineering leader, I guess, in terms of you're thinking now in terms of a certain higher order object as opposed to lower order objects? Are you not thinking in terms of programs and classes and objects and all of those things anymore? Are you shifting to something like an agent, and as long as the agent can be kept secure, I think we should be fine? Because I think the intermediary layers were, here's a binary that I'm going to deploy on a VM, and for a few years it was, here's a container that I'm going to deploy. So now has the conversation shifted to like an agent, and you keep the agent perimeter secure and make sure everything inside is, safe? So are those boundaries and abstractions shifting, do you think, or is there still a lot of emphasis on the lower level constructs as well?
The concepts exist, but the way they are implemented, the way we think about them is definitely shifting over here. So think of it this way, that The lower level details are still very important because, like I said earlier, the basis of engineering are not changing. Engineering is what it is. We are not, no one is going to rewrite what engineering is and how it is done. So the lower level constructs still exist. It's just that the way of execution are going to change. Now, not everything has to be human driven, not everything has to be human evaluated over here. We are going to, in the very near future, be in a place where a multi-agent orchestration with multiple quality checks and guardrails along the way is going to be doing everything from a low-level orchestration to doing the basic engineering framework level tasks and checks to a high-level construct in terms of a product roadmap and functionality. So, as a human, the roles are going to become a lot more finesse and specialization based over here, where the ability to be able to do a lot more specialization in one particular area and you having very deep understanding about the domain that you are working in or the client interactions and the usage of your product from a client perspective are going to become much more meaningful because as a engineer, when you are creating your own frameworks, you're creating your own applications over here, you, you will not be spending too much time in actually writing those low level details. You will be having frameworks provided to you where those frameworks will help you write those details. But the same point of time, the framework will also have multiple guardrails to make sure that we are able to manage the hallucination at the same point of time quality checks to make sure that whatever is being written follows the standards and parameters.
Yeah, the emphasis on basics and underlying constructs are still strong, and I'm happy to learn that you feel so too. And in speaking to a lot of people, they continue to emphasize like security needs to be multi-pronged and not just limited to one or two spaces here and there. So yeah, thanks for validating what was in my head. um, I want to shift gears a little bit. It's been a little over 30 minutes since we've been speaking, and I want to take off this engineer hat and put on like the manager or the management Abhishek hat. And let's talk about India. Let's talk about what's Sonatype doing here and what's your mission for like an India workforce and your whole India presence. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, from a Sonatype India perspective, it's very simple. India is one of the biggest technology centers globally. I'm not talking about Sonatype, I'm talking about generally in the industry. The tech workforce of India, the powerhouse tech workforce of India, is something that every global company, Indian company, understands the value and understands the proposition that it exists over here. At the same point of time, for Sonatype specifically, India has always been a very important market for us because the products that we create are not bound by regulations. If you are a developer who is writing code, building code, and shipping code into production, it doesn't matter to us whether you are sitting in Miami or you are sitting in Mahabaleshwar or Malegaon. We have a value proposition for you from a security perspective. So we always had a lot of clients and users of our products in India. Uh, and as Sonatype moved ahead in its journey overall, the India Center that got created last year with something like a there's a terminology that exists in the market today, Global Competency Center (GCCs). In all fairness, I'm going to be very direct over here. I think that's a very nice marketing ploy of using that terminology.
Huh?
For me, it is simple. For me, the India office is just another office of Sonatype. Like, it doesn't matter to us whether what functions. When we think of India is just an office. We have offices in London, we have office in US, we have office in Colombia, we have an office in Singapore. India is just another office for us. At the same point of time, one of the bigger shifts that we have done within the company is a lot of the AI powered innovation is being driven out of the India center over here. Like, all the concept which I'm talking about, multi-agent orchestration, having different security personas as quality gates, guardrails to your AI, a lot of that work is being driven out of the India office over here. And that is a really good thing for the India workforce, because both Sonatype as a company and Abhishek as a leader, a manager over here, believe very strongly in the AI future. Like, I'm going to be point blank over here. People who feel that AI is just a gimmick and will fade away are not people that are meant for Sonatype. Uh, we believe very strongly in what AI is and what the future of AI is going to be over here, both from the perspectives of our own software development processes and from a product roadmap perspective, like the functionalities that are customer and client facing, and how AI is going to help improve, change those functionalities. And India as an office plays a very important role for us over there. We are doing various functions in India. In like, since you were asked this question, Ram, without let me talk a little bit in a different perspective. Most of the companies, when they come to India, there is a standard playbook they follow. And the playbook is very simple, that India has a very good tech talent. So let's have our tech office in India, which is just in all fairness, a technology center with a little bit of a, I would say, security and a product perspective to it. But at Sonatype, we are a little different in that sense of the word. Obviously, tech is a standard playbook, so it's easy to do, and we did that. But that's not the only playbook we are executing in India. We have all the functions that should exist in a company, from go-to-market functions like sales, business development, technical opportunity analysis, all of that, to FP&A, to accounting, to sales ops, to revenue ops, to product support, technical support, customer success management over here, to product and engineering. So we are doing, like I said, for us, India is just another office. And what we look forward for is India as a market is already a big market, both in terms of our customer base, and now with we having a center over here, obviously a lot of these functions will help being driven from the India office with a local presence.
That's nice to know. And you've always been good stewards of the community in different parts of the world. Like I've personally interacted with a whole bunch of Sonatype engineers who have participated in several community events that I have also been fortunate to be a part of. And is that something you're looking forward to doing in India as well? Grow through the community, help the community, and all of that?
Yes. So one of the key things which I am very passionate about as a human being, even before Sonatype, is the concept of peer learning and peer enlightenment. A lot of times, just talking to your peers in the industry, understanding what different people are doing, how they are doing, brings such a nice enlightenment to the thought process of how certain things can be done. I believe very strongly in the power of that. And obviously, Sonatype as a company is very big to make sure that the open source community, the community that exists over here, the engineering, development, DevOps community, we make sure to give it all the right platforms and right opportunities to engage, collaborate, and able to always produce much more and much better. And we are doing the same thing in India. We have a good partnership with the Linux Foundation, with OpenSSH, with Cloud Native Foundation, all of them. We are sponsoring events like Cubicon. Also, Cubicon India is being sponsored by us. Last year, when it happened in Hyderabad, we were one of the sponsors. This year, also, when it is happening in Mumbai, we are one of the sponsors. We are working very actively with Swift Hyderabad and with Cloud Native Hyderabad to have regular meetups being happening in our office, conducting meetups in our office, to my team members taking part in hackathons, in meetups, in webinars across. So we as a company and as a community member over here feel very passionate and strongly about it, and we try to do as much as possible for the community out there.
Nice. So, in terms of challenges that are unique to setting up operations in India and functioning in this geography, what do you think sets this geography apart compared to like the rest of the world, and what sort of unique challenges does India present to some of the goals that companies might have coming here?
Hmm. So Sonatype is the second company and the second office for a global company which I have set up from scratch in India. So I do have a little bit of a exposure and experience into the challenges side of it, along with the opportunities that exist for setting up an office in India. Uh, Talking about, since you have directly asked the question around challenges, I so India as a talent market is a lot different than the Western world, in all fairness. It's not about the quality is, I would say, on par or better than most of the Western world, but it's about the way the cultural nuances of how the India market gets tapped into and how it works overall. Culturally, India is a lot different than what most of the global players are used to when they are mainly working and interacting out of either Europe or Americas over there. The cultural nuances plays a very important part, and that I feel initially can be a little bit of a challenge, a hiccup for companies to understand why things are a certain way in India. Like giving a very light-hearted example over here, one of the things that is very unique to the Indian way of communication is the head wobble. Like we wobble our head while talking, and the wobble is not a yes or no. It's just a affirmation of that, yes, I am actively engaged in the communication and I'm listening to you. But in the Western world, they it can be a little confusing because for them either this is a yes and this is a no. So the head wobble kind of becomes a little bit of a cultural nuance that people need to get adjusted to. So there's a lighthearted example of what it means. The cultural side of it is something which is a very powerful play in India. Like we all love our tea breaks. Who over here has worked in an office and doesn't enjoy 3:30 p.m. tea break with their colleagues? All of us do that. All of us like to go on a tea or a coffee break. In Hyderabad, the office that we have is near to a very popular local cafe, very Hyderabadi joint over here, and you go down over there at in the, I would say, early evening hours, and everyone is over there just having tea, interacting, talking to each other, getting to know each other, both as a personal aspect of life and professionally in terms of what they are doing, how they are doing. That side of the world is very unique to the Indian way of doing things over here. And that is one of the things which I feel anyone that is coming to India needs to understand about how it works in India from a culture standpoint of view, because that is the recipe to success.
Those are some fabulous anecdotes that I think everybody will carry with them when they watch the stream. Abhishek, thank you for those. Now, in terms of what direction you would like to see the open source community take, and how would you advise them as a technology leader and as a consumer of open source generally to architect things and lay out for more people to come forward, more quality in terms of contributions, less AI slop, I guess. So what thoughts do you have for open source communities that are emerging from India specifically right now?
That's a good question. Oh, let me give me a moment to think about that. Okay, so in India, the open source community is still niche. That's the honest answer. Uh, like the whole concept around open source, security of open source, how it plays a very important role in the global software engineering uh, and software development processes as a concept is still not that widely known within the Indian ecosystem. So, for the community members that are coming up, and especially in this age of AI, where AI is both one of the biggest supporters you have and one of the biggest disruptions that exist for you over there. Think of it this way, that it's not about thinking of AI as being with you or against you. It's about having AI as a tool and a technology. At the end of the day, is it something very major? Yes. But is it just a technology and a tool? Yes. Think of it from a perspective of the business use case you are trying to solve, the problem statement that you have, that you are passionate about, and what you're working towards over there. The business use case, the problem statement are going to be the differentiating factor. AI is going to help you solve them, help you envision ways and methodologies of how to get much quicker in terms of finding the right solutions to them over here. Use AI as a very good, like a very good industry senior who can help you evaluate thought processes, ideas, and as a peer programmer who can help you write code. But at the end of the day, you are the one doing it. So you will have to add your own guardrails. You will have to add your own quality checks in it. And that's going to be very important over here. At the same point of time, the open source world of nature itself would be undergoing a change, because from what I personally feel, and this is a personal opinion over here, is there are going to be two pieces to it. Piece one, like Ram said over here, AI slob. AI is going to generate so much, sometimes so much data and so much code that it's going to become overwhelming for certain areas. At the same point of time, AI is also going to help us streamline, open source a lot of the things which earlier used to be in the enterprise paid realm of the world. Because, like I said, the ability to write code is no longer a barrier over here, but the basics of engineering are important. So, people would be able to do a lot more with the basics of engineering, develop pieces for the open source community a lot faster and a lot smoother.
Nice. Yeah, I think those are important points to keep in mind. Lots of bite-sized wisdom in there that's very relevant and very useful. I wanted to quickly highlight a few sonotype things, I guess, before we close. You're all at KubeCon in Amsterdam too, I'm assuming. So there's going to be a
Yes,
sonotype presence there.
correct.
And the other thing I noticed was there's a Sonatype Security Slam event going on. Do you know much about that? Can you share a few details?
Sure. So the security slam event that we are doing currently is just part of the general community engagement activities that we do over here. As a community member and a champion, we are very active in the community into making sure that people understand the concept of not just open source, but supply chain security, open source security, and how it is emerging and evolving in today's world of AI driven world over here. So the Security Slam event is one of the ventures that we are right now doing, which is about making sure that we are able to propagate the vision of supply chain security and Sonatype as a company being at the center of it, and our products, like I was talking to you earlier, Sonatype Guide, which helps make sure that the open source threats, even at the time of software development, are handled. Firewall, which is AI powered firewall, making sure the vulnerabilities and threats are neutralized from an intelligence perspective even before they enter your network, to something like a smart repo, smart repository that exists over here. How Sonatype as a company is in the center of it and helps you and your firms be secure.
Awesome. I've always admired the Sonatype commitment to conducting all of these events. I've been a big fan of all day DevOps, which they've always stewarded. I've been fortunate to give several talks over the years and collect all of the swag, of course. And same for the security slam. It was nice to see all of this energy being poured into community focused events and things like that. So it's been close to an hour, Abhishek, and I must say, time did fly this time. So it was a real pleasure having you here, and I hope you've enjoyed speaking with us as much as we've enjoyed listening to you.
It has been a pleasure, Ram. Like I said, I have been following the work that you have been doing, OpenSSF community has been doing in India, and definitely me getting a chance to present my viewpoint, Sonatype's viewpoint over here is something I definitely enjoyed today. And the conversation, like I said, is always a free flowing conversation over here, and that's the way I love it.
Likewise, likewise. There'll be a lot more that we'll do in the upcoming year. Hopefully, we'll get together for a meetup in person sometime in Hyderabad. I look forward to working with you on something around KubeCon in Mumbai and Open Source Summit in Mumbai, all happening later in June this year. But there's also a few live streams that are coming up next month. I've already scheduled the one for April, so if you can check that out on the openssf.org events page, and or on our LinkedIn or whatever other socials that you have interest in. Keep your eyes open for those. But thanks so much for watching and staying through. Hopefully, this was a well spent Thursday afternoon for you all. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you all.